Metallica's Load and Reload. Two albums that are divisive among fans even to this day. Released in 1996 and 1997, they featured a new logo, a new look, and a new sound. Essentially rebranding the band for a new generation, replacing the thrashy riffs and scooped mids with a slower, more hard rock vibe. It was a very bold move from the band that had reached the absolute highest peak of metal just 5 years earlier. But what if I told you they're actually kind of awesome? And I can prove it. I'm going to show you some of the best riffs, most unique techniques, and even some cool gear that James and Kirk used on these two albums to make them stand out. I've also tried my absolute best to match the tones and production of the original songs using plugins that you can use at home. More on that later, but right now, let's get into the riffs. By the way, my name is Pete and I play music. Drop a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Number 1, King Nothing. You know the expression lightning in a bottle and that you can't catch it twice? Well, that didn't stop Metallica trying anyway. Back in 1991, they dropped Enter Sandman and everything changed. They spent the next 5 years touring endlessly and became the biggest metal band in history, essentially off the success of that one song. So when it came to make the next album, Load, they tried to replicate the formula. And when you dive into the details of the song, it's pretty obvious. Both songs have a very similar song structure and vibe. Instead of the clean intro guitars of Enter Sandman, King Nothing has a clean bass intro with a spooky guitar over the top. Then, just like Sandman, it builds and builds until finally it drops and the whole band comes in. It's also using the exact same scales and tonalities, whatever you want to call them, as Enter Sandman does. Both are heavily relying on that flat 5 interval. So when you start thinking of this song as Sandman 2.0, everything kind of starts to make sense. And even though this song never hit the same lofty heights as Sandman did, it does still stand out on its own. The main bass riff is just a cool way to intro a song, and the spooky guitar riff is deceptively simple too. Just a 17th fret with a bit of vibrato, and the high string ringing out as a drone. Even the main riff has some extra sauce to it with that chromatic run as it comes in. They still play this song live very regularly, and who can blame them, because when it all comes together, it's actually one of the coolest intros to any of their songs ever. Number 2, Bleeding Me. Metallica have always had good, clean tones, in my opinion. Songs like Sanitarium, Fade to Black, Sandman, and even Nothing Else Matters. Those are all songs with great intros, great riffs, and great clean guitar tones. You also know exactly who it is just from the guitar tone alone. You can hear 1 second of one note from these songs and know for sure that's Metallica. Bleeding Me is another great example of this, and one that never gets the love that it fully deserves. This time though, instead of using a chorus effect on the tone, James swapped it for a phaser effect. Combined with some simple slides, pull-offs, and subtle variations, this riff is just wonderful and one of my personal favorites. Similar to the songs that I mentioned earlier like Sanitarium, the song eventually builds and builds and builds to this big bridge section at the end. And the riff here is very simple, a little trickier than it perhaps looks, but it hits like a freight train. I'm obviously not the only person who feels this way either, because if you go to the video on YouTube, you can see that the most played section of the song is this bridge riff. And as I've said in many of my videos at this point, sometimes the simple riffs are just the best. Number 3. The House That Jack Built. This riff is a bit of a hidden gem because it seems like Metallica have never actually played this song live. And I have a sneaking suspicion why they've never played this one, but we'll get to that in a bit. The House That Jack Built is perhaps the most 90s sounding Metallica song that I've ever heard. It borrows a lot from bands like Alice in Chains, not literally copying them, but more so just the vibe. It's also weird because James and Kirk are playing completely different things. The guitar on the right is playing a chuggy kind of rhythm that's locked in with the bass. But the other guitar, which I'm gonna assume is Kirk because he's the only person I've ever seen play this riff, is playing the main theme. It's kind of drony with a semitone bend in there. And then the ending is almost a bit Gojira-like. Pretty sure Gojira weren't even a thing at this point, but you know what I mean. All in all, it's just in general a very unusual riff for Metallica. So why have they never played this one live, at least to my knowledge? Well, it could always be that they think it's just a bit rubbish, but I don't think it's that. I think it's because this riff is using what's called a talk box effect. That's one of the weirder ones you can use on a guitar, and it's been used by bands like Alice in Chains before. Instead of using a regular effects pedal setup where it would all just be on the floor in front of you, a talk box requires you to have a microphone with a tube running up the side of it. Then the sound of your guitar is played through that tube into your mouth, then that sound is picked up by the microphone and fed back into your guitar chain. Weird, right? So it ends up kind of sounding like wow. So for my version of this riff, I haven't even attempted to try and do that. Instead, I've added some extra layers of guitar to try and replicate that sound. A talk box is undoubtedly a very cool guitar effect that adds so much to this riff, but I do think it's the reason they have never played this one live. Hey folks, we'll get back to the riffs in just a minute. Now for this video, I tried really hard to match the guitar, bass and drum tones of the original Load and Reload recordings. But thanks to Toontrack, it was actually pretty easy. They have a plugin for just about everything, so I used Superior Drummer 3 and the Rock Foundry SDX recorded by Bob Rock himself for all the drum tones. Yep, you can use drum samples in your own music at home recorded by the actual producer of Metallica. Very, very cool. So I loaded up the LA 1991 preset and boom, instant Lars Ulrich drum tones. For the guitars and bass, I used a combination of EZmix 3 and EZbass to try and get as close as possible to the originals as I could. And from there, I tweaked some of the presets and added some stock EQ. And I think I got pretty close. Thanks to Toontrack for sponsoring this video. Check out Superior Drummer 3, the Rock Foundry SDX, EZmix 3 and EZbass, and everything I used using the link in the description and the pinned comment down below. Right now though, let's get back to the riffs. Number 4, Fuel. Fuel is probably the most well-known song from this 90s era of Metallica. It's always in their top 10 most played on Spotify, and it's a staple of their live set even to this day. The riffs are fast and high energy, which immediately make them stand out from a lot of the other songs on these two albums. And I think it's the only song from Load and Reload that gets above 200 BPM, something that was quite common back in the Master of Puppets days. It's a riff that is designed to get people moving, and that's it. That's the vibe, and nothing else matters. So much so that if you listen carefully to the original, you can hear that the guitars are actually played wrong, and it's super sloppy in places too. The guitars on the left and right for the main riff are playing slightly different things when I don't think they're meant to, but none of that matters, and who needs perfection anyway? It's an old-fashioned rock and roll kind of riff, and its sole purpose is to make you feel good. Number 5, The Memory Remains. If Fuel is the most popular song from the 90s era of Metallica, then The Memory Remains has got to be a close second place. It's another staple of their live set, and everybody knows the main riff to this song. But that's not the only cool riff from the song. The outro after the solo builds to this big multi-layered section which just sounds awesome. Metallica have a long history of layering guitars. Just look at And Justice for All. You'll find about 50 guitar layers on any given song from that album. Or the intro to Battery with all the harmonized guitar layers all gloriously working together. The outro to The Memory Remains is another great example of this. There's about 4 different guitar layers going on all at the same time, but the one that I don't think most people notice is this. James plays this super high-pitched guitar line that works with the other layers perfectly. It is unusual to hear Metallica using pitch effects and whammy pedals though. I think the only other time they've done it was on a song on St. Anger. When it's all pieced together and combined with the awesome vocal melody of Marianne Faithfull, it really makes the ending to this song something special. Number 6, Devil's Dance. The main riff to Devil's Dance is super sludgy, doomy, and another unusual sounding riff for Metallica. It's tuned lower than almost all of the songs on Reload, and to me it sounds like they are heavily pulling on that Black Sabbath influence that we know they all love. From the very start, this riff sounds darker and more menacing than any of the others on Reload. Again, it's got that flat 5 interval which makes it sound sinister and evil, and it's really channeling those Tony Iommi early Sabbath vibes. Meanwhile, Kirk is playing something completely different on the offbeats that complements what James is doing with the main riff. And all of this is happening over an awesome sludgy bass riff from Jason that's got a ton of groove to it. I can just imagine him stomping around the stage with a big old grin on his face to this. Load and Reload get a lot of stick, both now and at the time, for being the toned down, light version of Metallica. But honestly, that's rubbish. And riffs like this prove it. They hadn't written a song this dark since The Thing That Should Not Be, all the way back on Master of Puppets. And this riff is just plain heavy. Number 7, Fixer. Fixer is the Metallica song from Load and Reload that everyone wants to hear. And I say wants because this song is a 7-minute epic that they have only ever played live once, back at their 40th anniversary show in 2021. I'm not sure why they never play this song because it has some absolutely colossal riffs in it. After the vibey and frankly unsettling intro with loads of layered guitars in it, the main riff gets going and it's got another super Sabbathy vibe to it. This riff is again very sludgy, but then Kirk comes in and harmonizes the whole thing, taking it to a completely new level. It may be a song that they don't play too often, but maybe they should, because it's got a ton of great riffs, and I think it's probably one of the best songs from the Load and Reload era. So that's 7 reasons and riffs that I think prove Load and Reload are awesome. What's your favorite riff from Load and Reload? Let me know in the comments down below. Check out all of the Toontrack plugins that I used to get me as close as I possibly could to the tones of the originals. Link to those is in the description and the pinned comment down below. And there's also a list of everything I used down there as well. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Tabs, as usual, are on my Patreon. Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you enjoyed this video, well, you'll probably like this one over here too.